They fired him for helping an elderly woman in need. The next morning, 7 SUVs rolled up, and every neighbor thought he was being arrested. But the truth behind those vehicles left the whole town speechless. The humid Augusta air clung to Ronan Avery's skin like a second layer of clothing as he finally prepared to leave the auto shop. It had been a long Friday, the kind that leaves grease embedded deep under fingernails and fatigue settled in bones. The shop had officially closed 2 hours earlier, but Ronan was the kind of man who believed in finishing what he started. The scent of oil and gasoline, familiar as his own heartbeat, filled the space around him. He was sliding the heavy bolt lock across the main garage door when a flicker of movement caught his eye. Across the parking lot, barely visible in the dim glow of the streetlight, sat a small, silver-haired woman. Her electric wheelchair was tilted at a defeated angle, one wheel stiff and unyielding. A single plastic grocery bag hung limply from the handle. Something in her posture, a slump of shoulders that spoke of more than just mechanical failure, pulled at him. Ronan wiped his hands on an already stained rag and called out, "Ma'am, you all right there?" She turned slowly, her eyes wide with a vulnerability that made his chest tighten. I think my chair's dead again," she said, her voice trembling like a leaf in a gentle breeze. "It just stopped on me." "Can't move an inch." Ronan's mind raced. Wade Pritchard, his boss, had rules as rigid as steel. No charity work, no personal projects, no exceptions. The shop wasn't a community center, but looking at the woman's hands, shaking as they tried to manipulate the unresponsive joystick, the rules suddenly felt flimsy, insignificant. "Hold on," he said, his decision made. He tossed his keys back onto the counter. "Let me take a look." He carefully wheeled her into the garage bay, the one still occupied by an old Chevy pickup midway through a brake job. The single fluorescent light flickered overhead, casting dancing shadows around them. Ronan crouched beside the chair, his skilled eyes immediately diagnosing the issues: a cracked axle bracket and a fried power connector. "You don't have to do all that," she said softly. "It's probably just done for good. My son told me to get a new one, but—" Her voice trailed off, the unspoken words about money hanging in the air between them. He smiled, a genuine, warm expression that softened his grease-streaked face. "We'll see about that." Her name was Ethel Branson, a 79-year-old widow, former schoolteacher who'd lived in the same brick house for 4 decades. She spoke with a gentle southern rhythm that made the world feel calmer. Ronan worked with a quiet focus, pulling spare parts from his personal collection, components he'd bought with his own money for side projects. Sparks flew as he soldered a connection, the sharp scent of burnt metal cutting through the smell of oil. When he switched the power back on, the chair hummed to life, its control panel glowing a healthy green. Ethel gasped, pressing a hand to her mouth. "Oh my lord, you did it. Should be good for another few years," Ronan said, standing and wiping sweat from his forehead. "Long as you don't run drag races with it." Her laughter filled the garage, a warm, genuine sound that seemed to push back the darkness. "You don't know what this means to me, son." "I didn't know what I was gonna do." She reached into her purse, pulling out a folded $20 bill. "Please take this." Ronan shook his head firmly. "No, ma'am. You save that for batteries or groceries." "I'm good." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You sure?" "I'm sure." She looked at him for a long moment, then said the words that would echo in his mind for days to come. "Your mama must be proud. Folks don't make men like you anymore." He helped her into the chair, making sure she could maneuver comfortably. As she disappeared down the street, the whirring motor sounding strong and steady, Ronan felt a quiet satisfaction. He had no idea that from a nearby window someone had been watching, and that this single act of kindness was about to unravel the life he knew. The next morning, the shop smelled of coffee and grease as usual. Ronan arrived early, a biscuit in one hand, his thermos in the other. He was still thinking about Ethel's smile when the front door slammed open. Wade Pritchard's boots hit the concrete floor like gunshots. He was a big man, with thick arms and a permanently red face, his silver hair slicked back. "Ronan!" Office, now! The other mechanics suddenly found their tools fascinating, avoiding eye contact. Ronan walked to the back office where Wade stood holding a printed security camera, still, the image of Ronan kneeling beside Ethel's wheelchair. You mind explaining this? Wade's voice was sharp, cold. That? The lady's wheelchair broke down out front last night. I just fixed it real quick. Real quick? Wade repeated, his voice rising. You used my shop, my tools, my electricity to fix some stranger's toy chair. Ronan kept his voice even. It wasn't on company time. I stayed late, used my own parts. I don't care when you did it. Wade stepped closer, his face inches from Ronan's. You don't touch a thing in here that ain't tied to a paying job. We're not a charity, Avery. She's an elderly woman, Wade. Her chair broke down in front of the shop. What was I supposed to do? Push her home? That's not the point. You crossed a line. Wade reached into a drawer, pulled out an envelope and tossed it on the desk. Your last check. We're done. Ronan stared, disbelief washing over him. You're firing me. For helping someone. For breaking the rules, Wade smirked. Don't make this about something it ain't. The walk out of the shop felt endless, the weight of his co-workers' pitying stares, heavy on his back. Outside, the morning sun felt harsh, judgmental. He climbed into his old F-150 and drove away without looking back. By noon, the story had spread through Augusta's tight-knit community. Whispers followed him everywhere, at the diner, the gas station, even standing in his own driveway. His neighbor, Elise Vaughn, called out, You did the right thing, honey. Don't you let that man make you think otherwise. That night, Ronan sat in his quiet kitchen, Wade's check lying face down on the counter like something contaminated. He didn't regret helping Ethel, but anger simmered beneath the surface. He thought about her grateful face and wondered if she'd ever know what her repaired chair had cost him. Sunday morning brought a strange development. A handwritten note appeared in his mailbox. Thank you for helping my mother. You didn't have to, but you did. I'll be in touch soon. GB Ethel's son, he realized. But nothing could prepare him for what came next. Monday dawned with a low, unfamiliar rumble. Ronan woke to the sound of multiple heavy engines. Peering through his blinds, his breath caught. 7 black SUVs were lined up along his driveway, stretching down the quiet street like a government convoy. Doors opened simultaneously, and men in dark suits emerged. The lead man, tall with salt and pepper hair, stepped forward. Mr. Avery? I'm Graham Branson. I believe you met my mother recently. Ethel herself stepped out of one vehicle, beaming. I told you my boy would find you. Inside Ronan's kitchen, Graham explained everything. My mother's wheelchair wasn't just old. It was the last thing my father built before he died. When you fixed it, you gave her back a piece of him. He slid a formal envelope across the table. I own Branson Vehicle Systems in Atlanta. We need someone who understands both engines and integrity. My mother seems to think you fit both. The offer inside was life-changing, a leadership position, a 6-figure salary, benefits, relocation assistance. Ronan sat in stunned silence. Your old boss is learning a hard lesson about decency, Graham added. Some people are so focused on what's profitable, they forget what's valuable. Meanwhile, back in Augusta, Wade Pritchard was indeed facing his reckoning. News vans camped outside his shop. Customers had abandoned him, and online reviews were brutal. The clip of him firing Ronan had gone viral, and the community had turned against him. Within weeks, his business would be shuttered. A casualty of his own rigid heart, Ronan accepted Graham's offer. In Atlanta, he found not just a job, but a purpose. The facility was state-of-the-art, his colleagues respectful, and he was valued not just for his skills, but for his character. Weeks later, Ethel visited the facility, touring the workshops with visible pride. You didn't just fix my chair, she told Ronan, her eyes shining. You fixed my faith in people. Inspired by Ronan's story, Graham launched the Avery program, a community initiative offering free repairs to those who couldn't afford them. What began as a simple act of kindness had grown into a movement, proving that integrity still counts. Character still matters, and sometimes doing the right thing, even when it costs you everything, is the only thing that can build something truly new and beautiful from the broken pieces.